Hey, what's up folks? It's Alex here from Hannemann Ironworks, and today I'll be making a stand for my swage block and my vise. Now, I got the vise down here, and I got the swage block just sitting up on my anvil. I got this swage block from Uncle Buck's Forge. The thing's a beast, and I've been using it on a log. It's not cutting it out. I can't actually drift properly all the way through, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making a stand for it. Now, I'm also going to be putting a vise on the end of it, and you'll see exactly what I'm doing in just a second when we get to that part of the video, I guess. First, I'm going to be welding up the stand for it because that's kind of first and foremost. I need the stand base ready, and then I add on the vise attachment, and I put the plate on underneath. I'll show you guys a picture of my idea real quick. So this is the idea here. Now I'm thinking swage block comes back here. The vise post to support it will be right here, and the vise will be out in front, and I can step on this rounded plate. This is kind of what it's going to look like, and it's going to sit back there. You see where that forge hood is? That's going to get gone. I'm going to be making a nicer coal forge eventually, and we're going to put that over to the right and have a proper system in place to, you know, get smoke out, because that 6-inch pipe actually that's a 4-inch pipe. The 4-inch pipe just isn't cutting it. It worked fine when it was a half-open workshop, but it doesn't work with an enclosed workshop. So that is the plan. Now I'm gonna get into welding. I got some angle iron from Home Depot here. It's 1.5 by 1/8 inch. Now my plans had called for 1 inch by 1/4 inch. Just that doesn't really come in a proper size, and so I'll order it special. And then it's like $40 for like 10 foot of it. Or no, I think it's like $70 for 10 foot of it, just because it's such a weird size. It has to be custom made. So I opted to go with a store-bought one from Home Depot. It was like $32 for 12 foot of this, so it's not too bad. Alright guys, so I got the swage block just set up on my anvil here. Now I know the measurements come out to just under 11. It's about 10 7/8 inches by about 10 7/8 inches. It's not a perfect 11, but that's alright. I'm be cutting my angle iron with mitered corners, right, at 45 degrees, and this is going to be the bottom side, so I have this pointed up so I can actually lay the pieces on like this. But I'm going to be cutting it to 11 1/8 inches with mitered corners, because this is a perfect square. Now it's not quite perfect, but it's a square, right? So I'm going to be putting pieces on that are mitered on this bottom edge. And this is 2 inches deep, and so I'll have a 1/2 inch exposed because I'll have 1.5 inch angle iron. Alright guys, so I have the steel just locked up in the vise here. It's 6 foot long, it's sticking out, but that's no big deal. I have this soapstone. It's all washed out. You can see how I sharpened it. Now this is just a store-bought holder. I haven't had time to make a Daniel Moss holder yet, but what I'm going to be doing is laying out the mark. You can see here, I have to cut this with an angle grinder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in 11 inches, 11 1/8 inches, sorry. Now, it looks like this is going to be right over the top of my vise, which will be okay. And far edge is going to be over here. So 11 1/8 inches, right? Unlock. So me shifting it down a little bit. So it's coming in this way. Now it's got to come in this way. So line your square up so it does that. Alright, just like that. Now I'm going to have to come back another way and re-angle this. I'm going to lose this little triangle, but that's no big deal as there's no backing on this side. We'll fire up the angle grinder, cut this off quick, and be back with you in just a second. Alright guys, so I got some next level protection on. I got the shop coat on. Now if I light myself on fire, I don't care if this shirt goes up in flames, but I'd rather protect the Sam Towns Blaze shirt I have underneath. And shop apron on, leather, deflects sparks. I got some leather gloves here, hearing protection. Now, if I had prescription safety glasses, I'd be wearing those. However, I don't own a pair of prescription safety glasses, so I'm just going normal glasses. But don't follow my lead, put some safety glasses on. Alright guys, so we got the first piece cut out here, right? Now if I pan you over, sorry for that quick cut, it lines up. I'm looking down where the edge of the cut lines up on the other side. So this piece is good. Now I'm going to make 3 more exactly like it. I'll spare you guys the boringness of it and also protect my camera in the meantime. So exactly 3 more like it. I'll be back with you in just a second. Alright guys, so it's time to do some welding. I got the 4 pieces cut out. I'm going to weld down the seams on the outside just to get it tacked in. Now I'm just going to tack it for right now and make sure everything sits square before I actually weld it. I've made that mistake before where I didn't tack it and then everything's out square. But I got this thing jacked to the max. I think it should weld 1/8 inch. And if it's too hot, it's too hot and I turn it down. So we'll see how this performs. Now, I am going to be showing you direct welding, so if you guys don't want to see that or you're trained to look away, you are behind a camera and should be able to see it just fine. So. That's not half bad. So obviously you can see what I'm welding. It's kind of not striking an arc super well, but it is striking an arc, which is, you know, working. Now it's cutting off and on. It's not maintaining the high volume of electricity like a 220 would, and it can't penetrate anywhere near as deep as a 220 would. But I'm using a 110 flux core MIG welder, and it seems to be working fine. So. Alright guys, so I'm just going to shut you off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through and weld these corners up and down. I'm going to take a grinder, go over them again, and then weld again just to get to ensure the fact that it does weld properly, because I'm going to be striking on top of this and I want it to hold right. So yeah. Alright guys, so I got this frame all welded up here. So you can see this is the inside. I laid a bead about 3/4 of the way through here and I grounded off just for the extra assurance, right? I didn't weld in here because it's about impossible to try and grind out of that. Now obviously if I had like a die grinder I could do it, however not really feasible. But on these corners I welded up and ground them flush because I'm going to mount you know, legs on there and I can't have beads sticking out. But on this back edge, you know, I laid a couple beads. There's about 4 beads on each corner and they're not all pretty. If I had to judge prettiness, I don't know, I'd probably do these 2 opposing corners, this one and that one. But I mean, keep in mind there's 4 beads running through there and they're not all going to line up perfectly. Surprisingly, this welder can run a decent bead. I really wasn't anticipating it being able to run a decent bead at all. I figured it'd be kind of stop and go, but I'm able to actually get some decent penetration on this welder, and so it's working good. Now, what I've done is, in this vise up here, you guys can actually see that, I've marked off 24 inches. Now, I think I'm going to have to do like 23 7/8 or something like that, because on this other steel, it says 6 foot long, and with each cut I'm going to take off an 1/8 inch, and so that leaves me with a quarter under. However, I measured this bar of steel, and it's actually about an 1/8 inch short, so I'm going to just take off like an 1/8 inch here, and that way it saves me a quarter inch here, and that way, you know, it gets about right. Now, I'm thinking about it, maybe I should do 23 3/4 instead of 23 7/8, but whatever. I'm going to get these cut off, and then I'll come back with you while I'm welding them onto the frame. And a quick note, I use clamps because this thing started to kind of bow out, almost like make a bowl, just because they weren't welded solidly when I was tacking them. So I took Vise clamps and I clamped them on the opposing corners to flatten it back out, and then I welded the sides to make sure it's square, and now it's all square. So let's I'll get to cutting. I'll be back with you in just a minute. Alright guys, so I got all 4 legs cut out. Now I have them sitting over there. They're a little hot because the angle grinder gets some steel hot. But they're all exactly the same length. They're all cut to 23 7/8. Now, if you have longer steel, I would opt for about 25 inches, but I didn't feel like going and spending another $16 to get an extra inch off my legs. So I'm gonna have it an inch lower, and then I'm gonna have a 1/8 inch plate at the bottom, so it's gonna bring up to 24 inches off the ground. But I did have to run back out to Home Depot, and I bought some, what is it, 1.25 inch wide, but it's only, I think it's only about an inch on the inside. So I'm gonna lay a tube track just like this all the way up and down the bottom, right? I'm gonna lay a track like that, and I'm gonna set it in a couple of inches. Now I'm thinking I set it down about 5-6 inches. I'm gonna do the calculations on how much steel I actually need. I have about 6 foot of it here and cut into 3 foot lengths. So I'm gonna do math on that, but I'm gonna need 4 pieces to go on each side, and I'm gonna need the 2 11.25 inch long pieces off of this. So I'm gonna get cutting on that, and once I have all the steel cut out for this project, I'll come back with you with some more welding. Alright guys, so after like a half hour of cutting, I got all of this stuff ready to be welded. It's all prepped, I should say. Now I got these 2 main pieces, right? They're gonna come together. I'm gonna weld along the seam. I'll weld it flat because Home Depot doesn't just sell C-channel with a 2-inch inside. So I'm making it my own, right? That's gonna be spanning across, and then this is the bottom, currently what it's sitting on, but imagine this flip 90 degrees and sitting up here, and then these are going to be supports coming and contacting the bottom of this, of the main frame, right? And so it's going to be hanging down, and then I can set the swage block from, you know, sitting flat into the up position and down, and now since it's a square, I can just rotate it, and it'd work great. So, and I'm going to have the vise post back here, so if I try to access something right here and it's not just quite working, pick the swage block up, rotate it 180 degrees, set it back down, and I can work on this side just as well. So that's kind of why I'm incorporating the post vise in here. That way I get rid of this stand that's on, replace it with a nicer stand on wheels, because I'm putting this entire thing on wheels. But that's the plan. Now let's get to welding this up. Now I'm going to weld this main piece right here, right now, and I'm going to move these out the side. As you can see, I'm encountering some issues with the welder. It's feeding, and then it isn't feeding, and then it's feeding, and it's not feeding. I've been trying to dink around with it. Now it's a cheap welder that my friend got for like 40 bucks. So, I mean, can't expect too much out of it. But I laid a pretty decent bead down. show you guys right there. It's a decent little bead. But yeah, so I've been struggling with this all day long, and I've been trying to poke around with this thing, and I gave a couple people our calls, and so it's getting later in the evening. But I'm gonna let you guys go. I'll be back when I have this piece welded up, and when I'm about to weld on the hanging supports. Alright guys, so as you can see here, this is the bottom holder for the swage block, and I welded it up. It's basically a giant channel. I ground out the inside, which is a solid stone wheel, and I welded in just little spacers. They're 1/8 inch spacers. They came off, you know, the angle iron I'm using. I just cut off a strip and popped it in there, and popped the second one in there because it was about too big by 3/16 of an inch. So it's big by 1/16 of an inch, but now it fits pretty decently inside of this. And so what my next move is to kind of weld in these pieces right here, right? So that's coming on, and this is coming on, right? Weld that all up, and now I'm going to have the exact same thing on this side and rotated again. That's what I'm working on. Now it's getting late in the evening. It's 9:15, so I'm not sure how much longer I'll stay here tonight, but that's kind of the plan. And I have to cut out slots here for this to actually weld in, as you can see here, because it's going to weld hanging off the bottom of the frame. So that's what it's coming up to look like. This is going to be very similar to how I did it on this initial one. I'm probably going to weld it like this together first and clear out this inside, and then weld it on. So that's my plan, and I'm gonna go with that. So not gonna spare you, not gonna bore you guys with that. I'm making 2 of these. They're the exact same, one on this side, one rotated on this side. So come back with you in a second. Alright guys, so I got this laid out. It's about a perfect 90 at the moment. I checked it with my square, and I have a square magnet underneath as well. And it's pretty darn square. Now, there's a gap at the bottom I'm trying to push in, and it seems to kind of work. But I'm definitely going to have to like fill weld in there, which is, you know, it's kind of to be expected. This is a little bit of a janky project, especially with this welder. And the fact I've cut everything with an angle grinder, it's not precision cut with, you know, say a bandsaw. But I'm doing the best what I can with what I got. So that's kind of what I'm working on. Now it's time to spot weld this and make sure it holds together. Now that's what I'm working on right now. Alright guys, so here it is. This is the main frame, and now this is the under frame where I can set the swage block in so I can access the, you know, the 4 sides of it. And I made sure that each of these components fit over the swage block, and they both do, which is great. That means I did it right. And now I've lined it up right in the center, right? And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to weld along the seams. Probably going to run a couple beads. Most of these I've run 3 to 4 beads. Now some of them I've only run 2 beads. But because it's a 110 flux core MIG welder, I've been running extra wire just in case. So without too much further ado, let's get to welding this puppy together. this is an old anvil stand that used to be belonged to this one, except I upgraded, and now I'm taking it because it's 1/4-inch plate. There's going to be a little bit of holes in it, but that's no big deal. I managed to cut around that one, so I'm just going to deal with these two. No big deal. Going to cut out, you see that little arc there, and go from there. So that's what it's looking like. Alrighty guys, so I'd like to apologize, but I have neglected to film the rest of me actually putting this bad boy together. Now, I went down to Randy's shop a while ago, and I actually welded up and re-welded over all these other welds with a 220 Lincoln Tombstone welder, a welder that can put out. Now, the welder I have, it's good for welding a little tiny stock. You can make tack welds and whatnot, but it's not great for making welds actually hold. Now, what I've done since you've seen, if I move my leg out of the way, I've welded the legs on. These are about 24 inches tall, if I remember correctly. They sit low, so I can actually mount my striking anvil, or guillotine tool that sits up here. Makes it easier to swing out with the sledge. I am going to put wheels on here. They have not been done yet. This stand isn't quite finished, so. But it's what I got. This video I got. I'm spending a lot of time with family recently, which has been good. Spending quality time with family is always a good thing. So, anyway, it's mostly done. However, I'm still working on the kinks. But anyway, gotta put wheels on here. I gotta actually flip this over and grind off the weld, because this bottom plate's actually two different pieces. The little clip I showed you before this, I cut that out and then realized I didn't have enough space. So I cut out an extra, I think about 5 inches, so I could actually weld this ring on so it holds the base of this vise in. And that base is actually made by Uncle Buck's Forge. Unfortunately, he no longer makes products for blacksmithing, and actually, this video was recorded about, I want to say 5 months ago. So I've been working on this for a long time. It's done. It's been done for about a week now. As you're seeing me, this is last night for you guys, so it was Saturday night. But anyway, this is how it looks. I'm really pleased with it. I did make a pilot hole in this 1/2-inch plate, or 3/8 inch plate, something like that. I did make a pilot hole so I can fill up this tube. You can hear it's hollow, with sand and oil, so I can deaden the ring of this entire thing by a dramatic amount. Hopefully that's the plan. But anyway, I'm really pleased with how it came out, and I'm really happy that I came down to Randy's twice. So I made this look a lot better than what I would have if I didn't have access to such a nice welder. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Huge shout out to Randy, Newt's Leather and Metal Smithy. Go check him out on YouTube. But yeah, here it is. This is its current stage. Again, I'll put wheels on this. I may get metal casters, or not casters, but big old metal wheels, fabricate those or something to put on this. And then I might actually end up putting like a little handle or something on here that sticks in here so I can pick it up and roll it around as I please. Otherwise, just using this as a handle isn't too bad. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, drop a like, comment down below what you thought, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It's helping out a lot, and I'm almost at 350. And I'm thinking, as a 400 subscriber giveaway, one of my hand-forged hammers. This is hammer number 5. Hammer number 6 is in the works. I don't know where it is, but it's a wrought iron body, steel faces. I'm actually making a video on that too, so if I get time, I will continue working on that. But that's in the works. I think one of these hand-forged hammers for number 400 subscribers would be cool. And yeah. Anyway, that's how it's looking. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks for sticking with me through such a long video. So, appreciate you guys. Catch you on the next one. Bye.